All right, Universal, you can proceed with your dark universe. The Invisible Man. Now, in The Invisible Man, we follow Cecilia. She is trapped in this abusive relationship with this man named Adrian. And then one night, she finally escapes the clutches of him. But Adrian goes and kills himself. But Cecilia doesn't believe that he's done that. Cecilia believes that he has found a way to turn himself invisible and is using that ability to torment her every second of her life and make her life a living hell. Now she has to find a way to stop him because he is now the Invisible Man. Now, the Invisible Man is an iconic character created by H.G. Wells, who would go on to be part of the Universal monster movies with the complete disastrous effects of the Tom Cruise Mommy reboot, where, they were trying to make their dark universe in the sense of like what Marvel's been doing with their cinematic universe. And by taking iconic horror characters and putting them in these action franchises, and then we saw that explode and self-destruct, and thank God that didn't go anywhere, because now they're like, you know what? We're going to team up with Blumhouse, and they're going to bring in horror visionaries, and we're going to give them a small amount of money and let them make these, iconic characters, and then go from there. Now, before we get into this review, I want to say thank you so much to Universal, to Blumhouse, and to everyone involved in The Invisible Man, because I had the awesome privilege to be able to see this movie at the Hollywood premiere at the Chinese theater, and I'm still beaming with so much joy. That was an incredible, surreal experience. Honestly, it was a bit emotional for me because I did not grow up with Batman or Spider-Man. I grew up with monsters. Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Invisible Man. These were characters that I grew up with, beloved, and helped shape my taste for horror. Like, I love these Universal monster characters so much. So to be able to attend the Hollywood premiere of characters that you've beloved and all stuff was just a surreal and magical moment. And I can't believe that I'm saying this, but this movie is a remarkable achievement. And it's been a long time since I've enjoyed an adaptation of these Universal monster movies. But this one, not only did I enjoy it, I think it's a breath of fresh air. Now, this movie has a lot going on in it. So this is going to be a long review. So sit back, grab a beer or something, because we got a lot to talk about. First off and foremost this is a horror movie. This isn't an action movie. This isn't anything else. Even though there are action set pieces, this is a horror movie. And honey, it is terrifying. Terrifying. I think some of that might have been the Chinese theater with that immaculate sound design and picture quality. But ultimately, this movie is terrifying. From the start to finish, I was completely glued to the screen on the edge of my seat, sweating bullets, y'all. This movie was visceral and intense, and honestly had me levitating in fear. Now, The Invisible Man comes from director Leigh Whannell, who I've been a massive fan of since the beginning of time. Like, I've been doing this YouTube channel for almost 10 years now, and ever since the early days of Saw, which those Saw movies really shaped my taste in horror in a lot of ways. I've been a massive fan of Leigh Whannell. I don't think this man's made a bad movie. I think he's a creative voice in horror, and I love everything this man has done. This is his best film. Like, this movie is just incredible and detailed and layered. This movie explores some very interesting themes and about toxic relationships, toxic masculinity, and I think Elisabeth Moss gives an incredible performance. And I think with Leigh Whannell's very slick and stylish direction, and Elisabeth Moss, very raw and vulnerable performance, is actually a perfect marriage. They work so beautifully together. And with all the incredible horror set pieces in this movie, there are about 3 or 4 scenes in this movie that not everyone in the audience either gasped or clapped or screamed, and 3 or 4 generally oh my God, even I myself audibly screamed at the theater. And I'm a horror legend. I watch horror movies religiously. Elisabeth Moss, her performance in this is brilliant. It's a powerhouse performance, and it's definitely going to be joining the ranks of so many other recent horror performances in terms of conversations of horror actresses who deserve award recognition but don't get it simply because of the genre trappings that they're in. You are with her from beginning to end, and I mean, just the opening sequence alone in this movie, you feel for her. And I think the opening sequence, it's honestly might be one of the best opening sequences I've seen in a horror movie in recent memory. Like, it is fantastic, and it sets the tone for the rest of the movie so brilliantly. And like, even the title card of this movie is gorgeous. Now, what I love about this movie also is this is The Invisible Man. This is an Invisible Man movie. It stays true to the H.G. Wells character while giving it a modern twist, in my opinion. And having this movie showcase thematic themes of toxic relationships and toxic masculinity and, you know, abuse and stuff like that, and the, you know, overcoming that and all that stuff, I think is brilliant, and it's layered, but it's also not overly preachy. Like, it's still in the confines of a horror film, and I think that the marriage of those two works perfectly. It is so layered, and I think a lot of it has to do with Leigh Whannell's fantastic writing. The script in this thing is tight. It is so tight. The pacing is perfect. Like, there's not a dry beat throughout entirely this movie. It's directed fantastic. And of course, when you're making an Invisible Man movie, you want to use a lot of open space, because that's where you want to, you know, have or not have the Invisible Man lurking. And how they play with that open space in this movie is fantastic. I mean, there are moments where I thought the Invisible Man surely is not in this particular scene. There he is. Also, this movie, ladies and gentlemen, was made for a mere $7 million. And it looks like it was made for $100 million. Now, Oliver Jackson Cohen, who you might know from The Haunting of Hill House, he does a fantastic job at playing these Invisible Man. You know, while he's physically not there often, when you do see him, he does such a great job at playing so menaceful and manipulative that you buy into the toxic relationship of it. Now, I will admit, when it comes to this toxic relationship, I do want to give you guys a trigger warning. If you are in a toxic relationship or have been in one, but love horror movies and want to see this film, do your homework. Do your homework, and I mean not just online, but inside. Because now, for me, I love horror movies. I love horror movies that explore real themes, because in a lot of times, I think that they can be therapeutic. And this movie could be therapeutic for a lot, but it also could trigger a lot. So therefore, I do recommend being cautious going in. You know, I've not been in a toxic relationship. I've had toxic relationships with people, but not in a romantic situation. So I cannot relate to actually being there. But I know that this movie does tap into the fears of that a lot of women face today. And I definitely think this is very much a Me Too movement type of film. And I really applaud how this movie explores all that stuff. I love how this movie takes a lot of things that women and even men experience in the real world visibly and turns it invisible and plays on that fear. And that fear will make you feel like you're levitating. I mean, the scares in this thing are visceral. And there are some jump scares in this thing, and they are effective. I mean, there's a set piece in this house, which is Elizabeth Moss roaming the house thinking that the Invisible Man is there, and it is palpable. The tension is palpable, and it'll have you on the edge of your seat. And I was glued to the screen. The guy next to me jumped like 3 times. Overall, I am absolutely floored by this movie. It is visceral, it is terrifying, it is smartly relevant, and it has a powerhouse performance by Elizabeth Moss that will be joining the conversations of other great horror performances that deserve award recognition. This is, without a shadow of doubt, one of the strongest horror reboots in recent memory, and is destined to be a horror classic. As the score goes, I'm going to give The Invisible Man a 4.5 out of 5. So you guys, there you have it. That was my review for The Invisible Man. Y'all, I'm in shock by how good this movie is. I loved it so freaking much. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of this movie when you see it. And let me tell you guys, if you saw the trailers and were like, It looks spoilery. It looks like it showed me everything. Honey, they got so many surprises up ahead of you. So many surprises. And also, get ready to clap back at that ending. And until next time, I'm the Slasher Movie Reviewer, and you guys have just been slashed.